Our world today is much smaller than that of our ancestors. Increased transportation efficiency has transformed once arduous journeys into simple day trips. Improved communication technologies now allow us to speak to one another face to face from opposite sides of the globe. Thanks to rapid information transfer and widespread dispersal, we are able to learn intimate details about places we have never been and people we have never met. In the context of this complex network of global linkages, it is important to take a moment to consider the significance of place. What makes places unique? Are local, small-scale cultural and ecological communities worth protecting, or have they become obsolete, overshadowed by the large-scale global community?
Mill Bay is a unique place with a long history of change and adaptation. It is a place of dynamic resilience. In order to understand what this means, let's take a look at what actually makes a place a place. Places can be conceptualized as the intersection of three key components. First, in its most basic form, a place is a set physical location. This component of place can be identified in an absolute manner, such as latitude and longitude coordinates, or in a relative manner, such as configuration in relation to other physical locations. The Mill Bay Town Center is located at 48 degrees 39 minutes 2 seconds north and 123 degrees 33 minutes 33 seconds west. It is approximately 30 kilometers north of Victoria and lies on the northern side of the Saanich Inlet bordering the Satellite Channel.
The second aspect of place is physical landscape. Looking at photos of an area can provide a degree of insight into the nature of a place. Mill Bay is a coastal community, and as such the ocean is a dominant feature. Terrestrial landscape forms of note include undulating post-glacial landforms, fertile soils, and old-growth forests. Although physical landscape and location are certainly linked to the characteristics of a place, it is vitally important to recognize that these factors alone do not dictate economic, cultural, or political intricacies. Studies of a place that have failed to recognize this have fallen under the fallacies of environmental determinism. This brings us to the third aspect of place, sense of place. This is a factor that is more complex and certainly less tangible than either location or landscape, but is critically important. The development of a sense of place is based on the subjective experiences of individuals and communities as a whole, both historically and in present day. A sense of place can be shared collectively, but can also be highly personal. In cases where definitions of place are markedly different, conflicts can occur. This creates a contested space. Historic and contemporary power relationships can often be identified by looking at who ultimately determines what a space should be.
The Mill Bay town site is situated on traditional Coast Salish territories. Both Malahat and Cowichan nations, among others, use the land for many purposes, including hunting, fishing, and permanent winter settlements. Mount Jeffrey, known as Yoss, has cultural significance to the Malahat Nation, as it was viewed as a sacred place. Early European settlers did not have the same experience of interaction with the area, and so had a very different definition of place. Unfortunately, due to dominant practices and beliefs of the age, Europeans largely discounted First Nations' collective sense of place. The Douglas Treaties, signed by many nations in the 1850s, imposed British rule of land ownership, a concept that was completely incompatible with First Nations' definition of place. In the 1880s, a permanent Malahat settlement close to what is now a ferry terminal was almost completely wiped out by smallpox. Adelaide Ellis recounts that by 1910, the village had come to be known as the Rancherie, and that it was commonplace to find skulls on the beach. Despite the devastating impacts of disease and the struggle to cope with the imposed system of European land use, First Nations' sense of place continues to endure today. This is a stark example of resilience. Resilience is the degree to which a social, economic, or ecological system is able to adapt to or absorb shock while still retaining key functional characteristics. In a socio-economic context, a strong collective sense of place can be a useful tool for building resilience. Throughout its history, Mill Bay has proven itself to be a place capable of adapting to change. Henry S. Shepherd established the village's namesake sawmill in 1859. It was sold to William Sayward shortly thereafter and remained in operation only up until 1878. At this point, a mill was built just outside of Victoria, the main market for lumber in the day. Logging continued around Mill Bay, with logs pulled by oxen along skid roads until reaching the bay. The end of World War I brought with it yet another shift in the socio-economic structure of Mill Bay. The area became a desirable destination for residents in Victoria wanting to escape the pressures of city life. At this time, Victoria had become a bustling city filled with streetcars and horse buggies, and mixed with the noise and smoke from the nearby sawmill. Due to the opening of the Malahat in 1911, transportation between Victoria and Mill Bay had become easier. Mill Bay became a vacation destination, offering still pristine beaches, fresh air, and fishing. Queen Alexandria Solarium was established by British Columbia's Women's Institute to treat children with physical disabilities in 1927 due to the perceived quality of the Mill Bay environment. The solarium was located on what is now Brentwood College land and provided a wide range of employment opportunities, resulting in community diversification. By the end of World War II, Mill Bay was a vibrant place. Rapid population growth was triggered by the completion of the Island Highway, which improved transportation linkages. Multiple employment opportunities were available from the nearby Bamberton industrial site, the Queen Alexandria Solarium, and logging companies. Social activities centered around the Mill Bay Community League Hall. Today, Mill Bay faces many challenges, but also has many opportunities. Much of the town's historic economic and social diversity has faded. As a result, many residents commute to Victoria or nearby Cowichan Bay for work. A comprehensive village plan, published under a broader CVRD official community plan, outlines fundamental goals. These goals seek not only to maintain an existing sense of place, but also to accommodate and encourage positive community growth. The question, however, is what route should be followed? What changes will improve resilience, and what changes will undermine Mill Bay's unique sense of place? In recent years, residential development of the old Bamberton industrial site has been blocked, but other, more modest residential developments, such as Ocean Terrace, have been approved. The Georgia Strait Crossing Project, a joint venture between a private firm and BC Hydro, stirred widespread community opposition. These are examples of contested spaces due to differing definitions of place. Mill Bay has a unique location, landscape, and sense of place. Over the course of history, both First Nations and European settlers have demonstrated a dynamic resilience that has allowed the communities to endure. In the face of globalization, small coastal communities are often overlooked and undervalued, but they are by no means obsolete. They are spaces sculpted by stories of shared experiences, smiles, tears, conflicts, fears, and visions of what tomorrow could bring.